Hello and welcome everyone. I hope all of you are doing good. My name is Harshmeet Singh and I am here representing Narayana IAS Academy in front of all of you who are preparing for the UPSC CSE examination. This is your next class of the ongoing prelims crash course. As you know, we have taken up this responsibility to make sure that before you enter your examination hall on the 25th of May, you are well prepared with all the current affairs that have been in the news in the last year or so. This is where we discuss the most important topics from economics, and we have been doing this over the last week. Today is the turn of class number 7, where we will be discussing again some of the most important relevant topics that have been in the news. As already discussed, what I want from you is have a sheet of paper, have a pen with you so that you can test yourself by answering all the practice questions that I ask you here after each and every topic. Also, in case you are new here and you have not watched any of our earlier classes, please do hit the like and the subscribe button and catch out the earlier classes that we have done on this channel as well. We also have Indian polity classes going on as well, so do watch out for those as well. Before we begin, once again reminding you that if you are someone who is planning to write the examination next year or maybe beyond that, we have a couple of courses on offer for you as well. We have a 1 year and a 2 year comprehensive course that covers all the aspects of the UPSC CSE examination. That means preparing you for the prelims, then the main stage of the examination and till the stage of the interview. It will have a regressive answer writing practice. We will also make sure that you are well prepared to answer all kinds of questions in the prelims examination, be it in the form of current affairs, be in the form of static knowledge. We will also be making sure that you get enough help with your own personal timetable so that all the nitty-gritties of the examination here are taken care of. If you want any information about our ongoing courses and if you are interested in checking them out, do see the description of this video. In the description, you will find a link. Go to our website where all the information will be available. We'll be happy to get in touch with you as well. On that note, let's begin. Let's see the topics that we have in the news for you from today's class. The first topic that we will be discussing is direct seeding of rice. Now, to understand this, I really hope that all of you know how exactly rice plantations work. You know, when we were in the school, one of our outings from the side of the school was they used to take us to a plantation field where rice would be planted so that you can actually see how the rice actually is planted. Now, what exactly happens? So, you have the rice seed. You first make a sapling out of it. So, for example, in a controlled environment, in a closed space, you basically put that seed down and, for example, about half a feet or even lesser than the, let's say, 1/4 feet, this tall sapling grows. Then you take that sapling and that is planted in the fields. Rice fields in most of the cases have to be submerged in water. So, if you see the rice fields, it has significant amount of water and the rice sapling actually is sown underneath that. So, what happens here is number one, it's not a very easy process, it's a multiple step process. As I said, in the first step, you have to first prepare a sapling from the help of a seed, and then later on, you would have to make sure that you're planting it in a field which already has water, which is submerged underwater. So, it adds to certain complications because when you have a field which is submerged underwater for a long amount of time, it leads to emissions of methane. It also means that you have to now spend a lot more water. Rice has become a water intensive crop, not as water intensive as some of the crops such as sugarcane, but for example, if you compare this with wheat, rice takes a lot of water. Because India exports a significant amount of rice, it is an important crop for us. We earn a lot of foreign exchange, our farmers earn a lot of income by exporting rice. But because it requires so much of the water, the problem with that is that we are actually exporting a lot of our water with rice. This is where this new technology has come in. This is why it is in the news. So, the new technology, as the name says, direct seeding of rice. As the name suggests, this is a process under which you would not have to first prepare a sapling of rice and then you take it to the field. You directly take the seed to the field rather than having to first convert it into a sapling. This is what stops you from spending a lot more time. This also reduces or cuts down the water requirement for cultivation of rice. This is why it is important. So, the reason why it is in the news, as I discussed earlier, that this particular technique, although it has not been widespread, but it is it has the potential to replace traditional transplantation. Now, this specifically is something the government is hoping that the Punjab farmers will be ready to adopt. Punjab is the state where most of the rice production grows, and Punjab is also the state which is severely depleting its underground water resources at a very fast pace. The government has been trying multiple things to push the farmers away from rice towards something else. Now, it's not that easy to dissuade the farmers from cultivating rice, because it is something that is in their habit. It is something that gives them a good price. It has an MSP security attached to them as well. So what the government is doing, instead of now trying to push them away from rice, the government thought, why not have a better way to cultivate rice itself? This is where the direct seeding of rice idea comes into the picture. Now, as I told you, the direct seeding of rice is also known as a tar-vatar technique. The idea is simple. You have or you plant the rice seeds directly into the field rather than the traditional method. Traditional method was that you first take the seeds into the nursery. In the nursery, they grow a bit and they convert into a sapling, and then that sapling was taken into the field. You have removed that first stage. You are now directly taking this particular seed into the field so that the farmer can now have this process in a much, or do this process in a much quicker manner rather than having the need to complicate it. This is what the USP of this system is. These are the pros and the cons. Now, again, the government has introduced this hoping that the farmers will be ready to adopt this, but these are some of the things that you can't force the farmers to do. What you can do is educate the farmers about the pros and the cons. So these are certain pros. First, the biggest pro that the government is interested in, that it reduces the water requirement by 15 to 20%. Now, the problem is, see, when you are trying to push the farmers or encourage the farmers to adopt a certain technology, you have to show them what is the advantage that they would have, not the advantage that the government would have. Please understand this. If there is a technique of making rice that means that you have to use lesser water, would the farmers care about it or not? The farmers would care if, for example, they had to pay the water bill. But unfortunately, in most of the cases, the agriculturists do not have to pay the water bill, because of which this particular idea, that is the idea wherein the government wants to push the farmers away from this technique, this idea may not be that appealing to the farmer, because this is a pro for the government. The government is interested in cutting down the water use. For the farmers, it doesn't harm them in any way. Unless, as I told you, you, for example, start taking a bill from the farmers, then it would be a different story altogether. Second, it also reduces labor, because as I said, a two-step process is now being converted into a single-step process. The two-step process was that first you had to take the seed in the nursery, convert it into a sapling, and then take it to the field. Now you are doing the only step that is required, that is the second one. You just take the seed directly into the field. You don't need to take it into the nursery. So this is another important advantage. This is something the farmers would like. Third, the crop matures 7 to 10 days faster. This is also something that would work in the interest of the farmers. The shorter the maturity cycle is, the earlier the farmers would be able to sell that in the market, the better it would be for the farmers. It would allow them to earn more profit. These are some of the points that are in favor of this particular technique. On the other hand, as with any other procedure, this also is not hunky-dory. There are some other negative aspects attached to it. First, it is suitable for heavy or medium to heavy textured soil only. So it depends a lot on the soil as well, whether the soil is able to hold the moisture content or not. As I said, rice does require a decent amount of water. So it also depends a lot on the variety of soil that you have. Now, the government is pushing the farmers in Punjab to adopt this kind of a method. But do they in fact have this kind of a soil available or not? That will also determine whether they are open to adopting such kind of a technique or not. Another con, it is unsuitable for soil with severe iron deficiency and weeds. Now, see, in India, if you look at soils across the country, most of the soils that you would see have some deficiency of iron. So you have to make sure that the soils are adequate enough, they have enough quantity of iron to be able to actually be suitable for this kind of a technique. Then you also have another con, that is light textured soils negate the water saving benefit of this particular technique. As I said, the biggest pro of this technique is that it would have adequate supply of water, or it would reduce water usage, but it is also dependent upon the kind of soil that you use. If your soil is not suitable enough, if your soil is not holding enough water, this technique will not give you the kind of benefit that you were hoping for. These pros and cons of such techniques can be asked in the prelims examination. It's a very common kind of a thing. Any new technique that has come up, the UPSC can ask you what are the potential pros and potential cons of such techniques. Now, how does that work? As I said, first, the most important thing, it takes away the need for any preparation to be done at the stage of the nursery. That is the single biggest difference between how the rice is usually planted over the decades, over the centuries, and how this technique wants the rice or suggests the rice to be planted. So for this, you just need to put the seed directly into the field and not take them to a nursery or convert them into a sapling, number one. Secondly, you have to first prepare the field for this. So it can't be just barren field and you throwing the rice seed anyway. You have to prepare the field. How? The field has to be irrigated and it has to be at the same level. So it has to be exactly at the same level so that the sowing of the seed is at an optimal level. Now, this is extremely important. See, any difference in the level of the field will mean that the water retention of certain parts of the field are different as compared to the other parts, and you can't afford that. So it has to be perfectly leveled field. It has to have the kind of soil that is required. Also, there is no need of the soil or the rice seed first to be taken into a nursery. It can be directly taken into the field. Apart from that, the seed has to be treated as well. So there has to be certain changes made. Seed has to be soaked in a fungicide solution so that most of the chances of any infection, specifically fungus infection, for example, is taken away. That chance has to be reduced. For that, the seed has to be soaked into a fungicide for about 8 hours and then dried for half a day before sowing. All of this is extremely important to make sure that you have the perfect quality of rice seeds, and then you can expect a perfect outcome, that is in the form of harvesting. The seeding process carried out using a seed drill, and it's also called a lucky seeder. This is also an important piece of information. Do remember this particular word, lucky seeder. So basically, when the farmers are seeding or when the farmers are manually putting the seed in their field, they will have to make sure of a lot of things. For example, they have to make sure that the distance between two seeds is the same. So if one seed is planted here, other one is planted here, the same distance has to be maintained so that each of these seeds gets enough time and nutrition and water to flourish. If this distance between the seed is not the same, if there is a difference between this, that also creates a lot of problems. Because of this, rather than doing it manually, now there are many machines that can do that, and the most famous of all those machines that is helping the farmers to ensure that they are able to get the seeds into the field in a correct manner is called the happy seeder. So do remember that if the question is happy seeder machine is related to what? It is about sowing of the seed. It has to be done 20-30 days prior to when the seedlings would have been transplanted in the traditional method. So basically you have to adjust your time cycle accordingly. There is an irrigation schedule as well. For example, 14 to 17 rounds of irrigation are required compared to 25 to 27 rounds in the traditional method, which is why we were saying that it saves you a significant amount of water. And again, I am repeating once again, saving significant amount of water is a good thing. But is it a good thing for the government only? Is it a good thing for the farmers as well? Because only when it is a good enough thing for the farmers, when they see the merit of it, when they stand to earn something or they stand to save more, only then you can expect that they would be adopting this technique. Because using lesser water is appealing to the government, but you have to make it appealing for the farmer as well in the long run. This is how this particular technique works. This is the kind of soil that is required. Again, soil-based questions, agriculture-based questions are commonly asked. This is the kind of soil that is required. There are stringent requirements so that this particular process becomes successful. For example, the soil texture. The soil that is suitable here has to be heavy to medium heavy textured soil so that it has enough water retention capacity. As I told you earlier, the water retention capacity of the soil plays a very important role in whether they are able to support these kind of crops such as rice or not. You know, there are many research institutions like ICAR, etc., that are continuously working on making or inventing new crops which are drought resistant. Drought resistant crops are those that do not require a lot of water, where they would be able to grow even if the soil does not retain a lot of water. But in these cases, like rice, etc., you do require soil that has a potential to retain enough moisture so that that moisture can then be taken up by the plant. The problem is only 1/5 of Punjab soil is light textured. So 1/5 of the soil, for example, is not suitable for this. So you are taking away this technique from 1/5 of Punjab's land. Only the remaining portion of Punjab's land is suitable enough for this particular technique. Iron content, iron should be rich as we discussed earlier as well. Minimal weed pressure so that we can have sustainable form of direct seeding of rice. The iron deficiency may require crop plantation after a month. Transplantation, basically that means that if you do not have enough soil or enough iron in the soil, you might have to transplant that to some other portion of the field where you have enough iron content. You can also use ferrous iron as a supplement if needed instead of oxidized iron, so that you can make do that this deficiency of iron in the soil is taken care of. All these are important parts of this technique. Now, rice specifically is one of those things which are not just a staple crop for India, but it is a very important agricultural export from India as well. Basmati rice especially has been a big commodity that gets exported from India. It's one of those flag bearers of India's export India's export trade. Rice is a staple food, and not just in India. There are many parts of the world where rice is a staple food. Look at Mexico, for example. A lot of African countries, a lot of Asian countries do consume rice in a large quantity. So India will always have a big market for rice anywhere in the world. Just that, are we able to grow it sustainably so that it does not harm us? That always remains a question. Also, it's a kharif crop. Do remember this. These kind of questions are also asked sometimes. There have been times where 6 or 7 crop names will be given and you have to identify whether it's a rabi crop or a kharif crop. So do remember that as well. It requires high temperature and annual rainfall of above 100 centimeter at least. If there is lesser rainfall, then the farmers have to make some other arrangement in the form of irrigation, and they try to extract groundwater. This is why the groundwater depletion has been fast in states such as Punjab. In southern states and in West Bengal also, the climatic conditions allow the cultivation of rice. West Bengal specifically, for example, has significant amount of rice output. In West Bengal especially, there are multiple varieties of rice that is cultivated. For example, there is something called Os, Aman, Boro. All these are varieties of rice that are grown in West Bengal. Again, it is important, do remember this. There can be a question where they will ask you, Os, Aman, Boro are varieties of what exactly? It is rice. It's also significant in some other aspects as well. For example, if you look at India-Bangladesh relations, the one important matter of discussion between India-Bangladesh in the relations has for a long time been the Teesta River Agreement. I know all of you would have at least read about this one, the Teesta River Agreement. The Teesta River is a river that starts from Sikkim, goes to West Bengal, and then from West Bengal it enters Bangladesh. Now, India and Bangladesh do not have a river agreement or an agreement on the Teesta River. Means India has not given an assurance to Bangladesh that this is the minimum amount of water we will always allow you. Bangladesh wants an agreement on this. Why is it important for us? It's important for us because the Teesta River flows through specifically those areas of Bengal where there is significant rice cultivation. So the rice cultivation areas that anyways require significant amount of water, these are the areas from where the Teesta River flows. And that is why India cannot afford to give away a lot of water from Teesta, because it will negatively harm or negatively impact the rice cultivation that we have, especially in the state of West Bengal. That's why it is important for us. Also, rice takes up a lot of our cultivated area. For example, 1/4 of the total cropped area in India is about rice, which is humongous. States such as West Bengal, UP, Punjab are the ones where most of the rice is produced. On the other hand, there are certain high yielding states. High yielding states means states where you can grow rice in smaller areas. So the best productivity is in Punjab, because Punjab has historically had a lot more fertile soil, a lot more availability of water because of availability of rivers. Tamil Nadu, Haryana. So it's mostly grown in almost all parts of the country. If you actually see here, multiple states grow rice. Some grow with higher productivity, higher success. Some grow with a lower success. But almost every part of the country does grow rice in some quantity. India right now is the second largest producer of rice after China. Overall, if you look at China's productivity of rice, it will be higher. Again, productivity means on per unit area, let's say 1 hectare of area of land, how much kilo of rice can they grow as compared to how much can we grow on a similar kind of a land or similar size of a land. So this is where China has taken the lead from India. Now, if you do understand this topic, let's see if you are able to answer a few questions here. Read this completely and then you can pause on this screen, think about what the answer should be, and then you can play again. All right. How many, so consider the following statements regarding direct seeding of rice. You have to tell how many of these are correct. First statement, DSR, that is direct seeding of rice, eliminates the need for puddling and transplanting of rice seedlings. That is correct. As I said earlier, the usual method, the orthodox method is you first take the rice seed into the nursery, grow them to a certain extent. When they become a sapling, then the sapling then goes into the ground and the field has to be submerged, has to be puddled, or there has to be some amount of water and the rice sapling is immersed into that. The direct seeding of rice technique does not require that. So it eliminates the need to do all that arrangement. First is correct. Second, DSR generally requires higher water input. No. This is what we have been discussing. This is in fact one of the biggest positive points about DSR, that if you compare the water that is required in this technique as compared to water required in traditional technique to grow the same amount of rice, DSR would require lesser water, 15 to 20% lesser water is required. Third, DSR has a potential to reduce methane emissions compared to conventional rice cultivation. In the beginning, when we were discussing about this technique, I told you this is a positive point, because when the field remains submerged under water for a long duration, this is when gases such as methane are emitted. So when you would not require your fields to be submerged under water unnecessarily, this is what has a potential to reduce methane emissions as well. So first and third are correct, the second statement is wrong. Only two of these are correct. B would be the correct answer in this case. If you want, you can take a screenshot from here so that you can use it later on for your revision as well. Moving on. This is an assertion reasoning based question. Again, read it carefully, read it completely. Then you can pause on this screen and see if you got the answer right or wrong. All right. Assertion: direct seeding of rice is promoted as a climate resilient agriculture practice in India. We have been discussing this, that if you opt for direct seeding of rice, it would mean lesser methane emissions, so lesser greenhouse gases, lesser use of water, so it will help us maintain our groundwater levels as well. So in all these ways, it is much more sustainable as compared to the other form of rice plantation. Second, it reduces water use, methane emissions and labor dependency in the cultivation. Yes, correct. And this explains the assertion. As I told you, the reason why it is more sustainable for the environment in the long run is that it does not use as much water, it does not emit methane, and also because the harvesting cycle is smaller, you would not need more labor, you would need lesser labor as compared to the earlier case. So both of these are correct and R is the correct explanation. The answer thus would be A. I hope you got this one right. A would be the correct answer here. If you want, you can take a screenshot again. If you want to revise it later on. Now I have a related previous year question for you from the field of agriculture only, to get an idea about what kind of questions are asked. Read this carefully again, I am giving you time. Think about what the answer should be. Lock in your answer. All right. Which of the following factors or policies were affecting the price of rice in India in the recent past? So, how is it that the price of rice is determined, or how is it that it is affected? First, by minimum support price. Yes, when the government announces MSP, that also affects the price of rice. That if the MSP is higher, that will increase the rise of price anyways in the market. Second, government's trading. Yes, if the government intervenes, if the government buys a lot more rice or sells a lot more rice in the market in order to stabilize the rice, they might affect the rice price in the market. Government stockpiling. Yes, as we discussed, the Food Corporation of India buys the rice and wheat, etc., from the farmers at the MSP. So, depending on how much stockpiling are they doing, if they are piling up more stock, then obviously they are reducing the supply of oil from supply of rice on the market. It will have an impact on the price, and vice versa. Consumer subsidies, again, it has an impact on the eventual price of the rice because the government is intervening in the market. All of these are reasons or are factors that impact the price of rice in the market. So, the answer here would be D. D is the correct one. All these have an impact on what will be the price of rice in the market. If you want, you can take a screenshot from here if you want to revise later on. All right, then moving on to the next topic for the day. The next topic that we have here is White Revolution 2.0. I am sure all of you here would have already heard about White Revolution. White Revolution, as the name suggests, is the government of India's push to increase milk production and milk related products production in the country, to make sure that our milk exports increase, to make sure that we also have enough supply of milk and milk products available within the country. We have already had milk revolution, White Revolution in the country, led by Amul specifically, that acted as a cooperative, gave a lot of farmers an alternate source of income as well. In fact, pushed a lot of farmers away from agriculture towards pastoral farming, towards becoming the traders of milk, etc. This has improved India's milk production specifically. India right now is the largest producer of milk in the entire world. However, because the milk demand and the demand of milk products is so high in India, and we still have an increasing population, there is still a need to have even more milk in the country. And this is why the government has now pushed for White Revolution 2.0, under which the government aims to improve the milk production. And how do they do that? Not just by pushing the farmers, but they have to make infrastructure arrangements for that. So, they will be looking into breeding of these animals in such a manner that they result into that kind of a variety or that kind of a species that has much better milk production. So, it's not just about encouraging the farmer, it's about doing scientific intervention as well, making sure that there is cross breeding if there is a requirement of that, making sure that all the scientific interventions are done to improve the output of milk in the market. That is what White Revolution 2.0 is all about. Who is doing this? What is the body behind it? As expected, Union, Home and Cooperative Ministry is doing this. Now, you might expect Agriculture Ministry to do this, but no, because milk sector in India is headed by or is a lot influenced by companies such as Amul, which is a cooperative. It has been proven that the cooperative model of running an enterprise is the best suitable for these kind of activities. And that is why for this White Revolution 2.0 also the government has been pushing a lot more towards cooperatives, asking the cooperatives to do this, asking the cooperatives to take the responsibility rather than any other government department or the government ministry. These are certain important objectives that the government wants to achieve in White Revolution 2.0. Remember this, all of this is important for the examination. First goal, milk production goal. They want to increase it from 660 lakh per liter per day to 1 lakh liter per day. within 5 years. So this is where we are at present, and this is the goal that we have. So at present, the milk production in India is about 660 lakh per litre. And where do we want to go? We want to go to 1000 lakh litres per day. The target that we have is 5 years. Within 5 years, we have to achieve that. Second important thing that White Revolution 2.0 wants to achieve is infrastructure development. Infrastructure development includes 1 lakh cooperative societies to be established or upgraded and 67,930 primary agricultural cooperative societies to be computerized. We'll discuss what packs are later on today. Packs again is kind of a credit giving structure to the farmers that allow short-term credit, short-term loans to be given to a farmer. So wherever packs are available, upgrading them, computerizing their working, making them more efficient. When they are not available, setting up more of these so that the farmers have access to short-term credit. It also focuses on women empowerment. Why? So government has seen with a lot of data that women farmers actually, when they work in the dairy cooperatives, they have been much more effective. See, if you look at orthodox agriculture, and we have discussed this earlier as well, in orthodox agriculture, we have a problem of disguised unemployment, where if you require 50 people to work on the field, the same job is being done by 80 people. And a lot of these people are not adding to any productivity. And this mainly also includes the women in the family. So women in the family, while they are ready to work, they are ready to contribute, they are not adding a lot of financial value when it comes to working in the agricultural field. So an alternate option here is that the government has seen when the women farmers are involved in the dairy sector, they have been able to have much better impact and their income has also increased significantly. So the government is seeing this as a way for women empowerment as well. That will lead to direct benefit transfer into their accounts. That will also lead to making sure that their financial status increases. Then the government is also hoping for a better nutritional impact. India, as you know, has been suffering from malnutrition. Whenever you have reports such as the Global Hunger Index, India unfortunately never has a great score in Global Hunger Index. The reason is, when you look at reports such as the Global Hunger Index, they don't look into whether a person is hungry per se or not. For example, if you are locked up in a room for 6 months, and for these 6 months you are only given rice to eat and nothing else. If you are only given rice to eat, you may not be hungry. You are eating when you have hunger. But in the Global Hunger Index, you will still be considered as a hungry person. Why? Because your nutritional requirements of the body have not been fulfilled. So India, when we say we have a problem of hunger or we have a problem of malnutrition, the problem is not with the amount of food or food grains. The amount of food or food grains are suitable, are adequate enough. The problem is that they are not getting the balanced nutrition that is required. This is what the White Revolution wants to correct. They want to make sure that there is enough nutritional requirement as well. How? By increasing the milk output, by making sure that milk is accessible to all parts of the country. Even those who can't afford it, they do have access to milk or milk products. This also, takes away that conundrum, because in India, giving nutrition to your kid also has one more interesting problem or interesting conundrum here. That is a debate between vegetarian and non-vegetarian. So in India, for example, if the kid does not have enough nutrition, there is still a big discussion, should you give egg to the child or not? Now, egg may be nutritional. It may be added as a product in the midday meal, but in a lot of these states, this is where the debate is, that many states don't want to give egg as a midday meal because it's considered to be a part of non-vegetarian food chain. So milk can solve that problem as well. Also, the government is focusing not just on pushing the milk production, as I told you, they have to, or they want to do it scientifically by giving as much scientific input as possible. How will they do that? Number one, by making sure that they are producing that variety of breeds which are able to give much more output. So they will be making sure there are genetic improvements carried out. So sex sorted semen, embryo transfer, etc. will happen specifically to create those species that are able and that are capable enough to produce more milk as compared to others. Feeding and nutrition will also be taken care of. For example, there is Amul has a total mixed ration plan for cost efficient, nutrient rich feed. So meaning that the buffaloes, the cow from where you are extracting milk, what feed are you giving them? Because the feed that they are eating, that will determine the quality of the output that they are giving. So if they themselves are being malnutritioned or malnourished, if the cows, the buffaloes themselves don't have enough good quality food to eat, you can't expect them to give you output of high quality milk. This is where it has to be corrected, and the government has been working on this as well. It's a part of White Revolution 2.0. Then the dairy cooperatives are projected to procure about 100 million, that is about 10 crore kg of milk daily by the end of the 5th year. So dairy cooperatives, I told you that the cooperatives are the ones which will play an important role here. Now, those of you who don't know what cooperatives are, see, there's a difference between how cooperatives work and how a common company works. Cooperative would be where the employees in the company are all the kind of members of the company. Like in a normal company, normal organization, there's a hierarchy. The person sitting at the top, the boss, will take most of the decisions. When the boss decides something, it has to be implemented. Doesn't matter if the employees at a lower level like it or not. That doesn't really matter. On the other hand, in a cooperative, that is not how it works. In a cooperative, it's more of membership kind of a structure. So in a cooperative, for example, the resources are pooled in by the members, and then they together work and they distribute the profit. Most of the decision making is by a vote. Amul is the most successful example of a cooperative in India. So how Amul works, for example, is lakhs of farmers have associated themselves with Amul and they say they're a part of Amul. So whatever milk production you would have, you would all give it to Amul. What will they do? They will carry out a quality check. You can't mix up different kind of milk. So you basically check the quality of milk. The milk having similar kind of a qualities and mixed together. And this is when the Amul has an entire marketing team, sales team. They will then market it, they will sell it. Whatever profits they make, the profits are then divided to the farmer. So what happens is, it works as a structure where farmers are not really employees, they are members of the organization. So they take a share in the profit. This is how the cooperatives work. And because Amul has been so successful, there have been different kind of similar examples in other parts of the country as well. Like in Karnataka, you have the Nandini. Nandini is again a government initiative. It's a cooperative of the farmers. In Delhi, there is something called DMS, Delhi Milk Scheme. Rajasthan also is a similar kind of a thing. So a lot of these cooperatives have come up. And this is why the government also realizes that this dairy sector can be best served and can be best optimized if we continue with this cooperative sector only. So the idea is that dairy cooperatives should be able to procure 100 million or 10 crore kilograms of milk daily by the end of the 5th year, because the milk production will be so much. It also aims to increase the procurement led by cooperatives from, as I said, from the present level of 660 lakh litre per day, we aim to achieve 1000 lakh litre per day goal. That is a goal of White Revolution 2.0. Now, for doing that, the government has also launched something called Margdarshika. Now, what exactly is this? Margdarshika is kind of rules or procedure. SOP stands for Standard Operating Procedure. So what exactly has happened? The government has released some Margdarshika or Standard Operating Procedure, under which the government has told that, okay, now then the cooperatives will be set up. There is a certain structure, certain pattern that should be followed by them. So that when we have so many cooperatives across the country, or when we have a situation of cooperatives mushrooming in the country, we should not have a problem that all of them have a different structure, all of them are working separately. We should have all of them working on similar lines or being created on similar lines. For that uniformity, the government has launched Margdarshika or Standard Operating Procedures. These have been launched to form about 2 lakh new multi-purpose primary agriculture cooperatives. So the government aims to have at least 2 lakh more of these cooperatives, and then they have given a structure for those. Now, what exactly is this? Let's see. The government wants these cooperatives to come up at the panchayat level, and especially those panchayats that don't have a cooperative so far in the area of agriculture, fishery, dairy related activities. Again, please remember this. These operating procedure or these standard operating procedure SOPs are not just for about dairy specific cooperatives. The government says if you are setting up a cooperative, let's say for fisheries, for something else also, you should follow this. It has been prepared by Ministry of Cooperation as expected in collaboration with NABARD. NABARD is a National Bank for Agriculture Development, and National Dairy Development Board. So these are the bodies that have given inputs on the basis of which these standard operating procedures have been decided. It also leads to women empowerment. The idea is maximum women are engaged in dairy sector, and in Gujarat, for example, where Amul is based, women have accounted for 60,000 crore rupees of income in Gujarat alone. So the idea is that if we focus on expanding the spread of cooperatives, if we have more cooperatives, we might have more options of empowering women across the entire country if we follow this kind of a model. These are the key components which the government is focusing on. For example, the government is focusing on cooperation amongst cooperatives initiative. The idea is when we have so many different cooperatives, they should also be working together, they should also collaborating, and they should also be learning from each other's best practices. The government also has given them access to interest-free cash credit via RuPay Kisan Credit Card. Now, Kisan Credit Card is an old scheme that you might have heard of. It has changed its form over the years, but it has remained the same kind of a stuff. So, Kisan Credit Card is something that was launched in 1998. Whereas the name says, the farmers are given a kind of a card. Now, these are RuPay credit cards that they are given, and they specifically have their ATM. So, they have to do one-time documentation verification. So, one time they will have to verify, all the documents have to be given, and after that, they will then go ahead and these credit cards will be operational for the farmers. Now, in such case, what usually happens, recently the government of India has increased the limit. It used to be 2 lakh earlier. In certain cases, the government has increased the limit to 5 lakh now. This is usually given to the farmers because farmers in most cases, before the season starts, when they have to buy seeds, when they have to buy fertilizers, some of them might not have immediate capital, because it's very unfortunate that when the farmers actually sell their produce, they don't get payment in hand. They might have to wait for a certain amount of time. So it does not leave them with any money to actually start the next cycle of production. For that, these Kisan credit cards, etc., come in handy, and they will be able to get capital in the hands of the farmers. That is how it usually works. The Kisan credit card, by the way, one more thing about Kisan credit card that we are discussing now. The government of India, for example, offers something called interest subvention on Kisan credit cards. Interest subvention means, for example, if the rate of interest that you have to pay on those loans is 6%, if you are repaying it in a good manner, if all your documents are in place, the government says, okay, out of the 6% loan or out of the 6% rate of interest, you only pay back 2%. The government will pay remaining 4%. This is called interest subvention, where the government repays a part of the interest. This is subject to certain conditions, that you are paying back on time, your own behavior is correct, your own paperwork is in place. If that happens, then the government will say that, okay, we will pay a part of it. That's called interest subvention. That is what usually happens in case of Kisan credit cards. Now, in terms of milk production, questions can be asked from here, so do pay attention here, do remember these facts. India is the largest producer of milk in the entire world. Our production reached about 23.1 crore tons during 2022-23. The top states in India that produce milk as per the basic animal husbandry statistics, top 5 are UP, then we have Rajasthan, we have Madhya Pradesh, we have Gujarat. One mistake that some people commit here is assuming that since Amul is headquartered in Gujarat, the assumption is that you think that Gujarat will be the largest milk producing state in the country. That is not true because of the population of UP, and a lot of that population comprise of farmers. A lot of them are dairy farmers. So this is where populated states like UP, Rajasthan specifically also, because it doesn't have a lot of agriculture because of not having a lot of irrigation or fertile soil. So there the farmers anyways have to shift their focus on some alternate earning options. This is where Rajasthan also comes in. So Gujarat is not at the top. Remember that. These together contribute about 53% of the country's total milk production. The per capita availability of milk is very different depending on different states. So in certain states, you have much more milk available per capita depending upon their population and milk production. In some other states, the number is very different. For example, just see the comparison here. See the comparison of, for example, Punjab has about 1.2 kg of milk available per person. On the other hand, Maharashtra has 329 grams of milk available per person. So per capita availability of milk varies greatly. How do you compare India with other parts of the world? So our national per capita milk availability is 459 grams per day, which is higher than the global average. It's very rare to see something like this, that something that carries nutrition, where India has something higher or better than the world average or the global average. So it's a good thing. But do remember this fact that world average, the amount of milk available per person to a citizen, India has more than that. The government wants to increase that even further, and that is why the White Revolution 2.0 that the government is aiming to achieve by the next 5 years is so important. Also, some other factors about milk production in India. 31.94% of our total milk is from indigenous buffaloes, 29.81 from crossbreed cattle. Goat milk is much lesser, 3.3. So it's not easy to extract milk from goat. Even the quantity is not that high. But goat milk remains in quite a lot of demand because it's specifically said to be beneficial in certain diseases when a person falls ill. Exotic cows means the cows that have been brought in from outside, only 1.86%. Increasingly, as people are becoming more and more aware in India, the demand for milk from indigenous species, indigenous means India-based cows and buffaloes, is increasing anyway, which is a good thing for Indian farmers as well. Contribution of dairy, how much it contributes to agriculture livestock sector, that is also quite significant. The milk sector especially contributes about 40% of total output value from agriculture, livestock, forestry and fishing sector, which is a huge number. So if the government wants to give it a further push under White Revolution 2.0, you might have the contribution increasing even more, the contribution of the milk sector in the overall agriculture gross value added. This is what the government is hoping to achieve. On the basis of this topic, I have a few questions for you. Again, read it carefully, word by word, think about the answer. Think about what you think the answer should be. Got it? Okay. Which of the following statements about White Revolution 2.0 launched by the Government of India is or are correct? Number 1. It aims to double milk procurement by dairy cooperatives to approximately 1,007 lakh kg per day by 2028-29. Yes, that is what they want to do. They want to double the procurement that is done by the dairy cooperatives, double to where it is right now. Second, the initiative focuses exclusively on increasing milk production without emphasizing cooperative society. Absolutely wrong. We have been discussing so much about cooperative societies. In fact, the entire mission of the program is run by the Ministry of Cooperatives only. The government has realized the importance of cooperatives in the dairy sector, so obviously the government has been focusing on cooperatives as well. Third, it includes measures to empower women farmers and create employment opportunities in the dairy sector. Yes, that is what we have been focusing on. The government has understood that if they want to improve the income of women farmers, dairy sector will be the way to go ahead. This is where a lot of them have been employed, a lot of them have been able to be a part of the orthodox financial sector, that is a formal financial sector. So government focuses on them as well. The answer would be 1 and 3. Second is wrong. A would be correct here. Okay, I hope you got this right. A would be the answer here. If you want, you can take a screenshot from here. It will help you revise later on. Done? All right. Next question. Read it carefully again and then we will discuss. All right. With reference to White Revolution 2.0, consider the following statements. Number 1. It builds on the cooperative model established by Operation Flood to enhance India's dairy sector. Absolutely right. Operation Flood was this name of the operation, specifically aimed at improving India's milk production. It's part of White Revolution only. So first is absolutely correct. Second, the initiative includes standard operating procedures. We discussed what exactly is this? Margdarshika, if you remember. So Margdarshika, standard operating procedures are included to streamline dairy infrastructure, milk procurement. Yes, we discussed this, that the government wants to ensure that at least 2 lakh such cooperatives also open up, especially in those panchayats that do not have any cooperative. And for setting those up, the government has given certain standard operating procedures. That is a set of preset guidelines that you follow this so that your cooperative can be set up and it is in line with the other operating or with the other running cooperatives in the country. Third, it aims to phase out the dairy cooperatives in favor of private sector-led milk production by 2030. No, absolutely wrong. Opposite to what we have been discussing. In fact, even opposite of statement 1 here as well. Statement 1 says that the government is focusing on cooperatives. The third statement says phasing out the cooperatives. So third is wrong. 1 and 2 are correct. A would be the answer here. Okay, A would be the correct answer. I hope you got this one right. Not a very difficult one or complicated one to answer. If you want, you can take a screenshot here. It will help you revise later on. Now I have a related previous year question, not exactly related, but something that is related to this field of agriculture. Let's see if you are able to answer this. Slightly complicated. The year that it was asked, that was in 2019, it was not a very easy question to answer for most of the students. See, in India, the use of carbofuran, methyl parathion, forate and triazophos is viewed with apprehension. These chemicals are used as what? So these are certain chemicals that are used, but they are seen negatively. What exactly are these? Is it pesticides in agriculture? Is it preservatives in processed foods? Is it fruit ripening agents, or is it moisturizing agents in cosmetics? Now, because it is viewed with apprehension, it obviously has to be something negative. If that is where you are going, the answer here is pesticides. So these are different varieties of pesticides that are used in agriculture for different purposes. They all remain in the news for something or the other, usually negative. The government, as you know, has been giving a lot of push to organic farming that would eliminate the use of these kind of pesticides, but these still are used in significant number. As you can see, these are the uses of it. Do read this. This is important for the examination. You can take a screenshot as well. For example, carbofuran, specifically toxic to birds, mammals, aquatic species. These have been banned as well. It's an insecticide. Then we have methyl parathion. It is again an insecticide, very highly toxic. It has led to be banned in India as well. Then forate. Then we have triazophos. All of these are different varieties of pesticides, insecticides that are used in fruits and vegetables in some way or the other. So the answer, as we discussed, was the pesticide thing. I hope you got that one. Next, we have another important scheme that is especially related to agriculture that was in the news, called as a spiced scheme. Now, spices have a very long history in India. A lot of our colonial masters came to India, especially to conquer India and take spices from India and sell it to the other parts of the world. Now, it has become a major export from India. A lot of spices get exported from India, especially from the southern part of India. The government has even set up the Spice Board of India, under which we want to promote this export even further. It's also a way to push the farmers away from normal paddy and wheat cultivation, explore something new. Now, the spiced scheme specifically aims to improve cardamom production in the country. Now, cardamom is again a very important spice in India. It's used in making curries, it's used in tea, it's used as a medicinal spice as well. Cardamom has a lot of demand in other parts of the world as well. So, under this scheme, the government wants to promote the cardamom production in the country of different types, make sure that the farmers also get as much scientific input as they require for improving this production, and thus we can improve our foreign earning as well, foreign exchange earning as well. So, why is it in the news? Because recently the Union Ministry of Commerce and Industry, they have approved SPICE. SPICE here stands for Sustainability in Spice Sector through Progressive, Innovative and Collaborative Interventions for Export Development. As you can expect, the government in these cases mostly does have a full form attached to whatever acronym that they are using. So, SPICE scheme also stands for this. You don't have to remember this entire full form, etc., as long as you understand and remember what the scheme is all about and what is it that the government is trying to do with this scheme. Now, this is the full name. Launched by what? Launched by the Spices Board of India. The Spices Board of India in turn works under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. The budget is about 422 crore, you don't have to remember that. And the duration is supposed to be till the end of this financial year. So, till the end of what the Finance Commission cycle will be. So, by the time that we end this financial year, that is 31st of March 2026, this is where the duration of the scheme is. That until then, we would like to achieve these objectives that the government has put forward. Now, what exactly are the objectives? Let's focus on that. So, although the name is spiced scheme and the government in the full form also has not named a specific spice, but the objectives specially focus on cardamom or elaichi as you call it. So, cardamom is the one spice that is actually the focus of this entire scheme. The objective is to improve its productivity, both small and large varieties. So, if you know anything about cooking, if you cook something or if you are aware of your spices in the kitchen, you would know that there are two types of cardamom. There is a small one, there is a large one. Small cardamom is the one that you usually see being used very often, the green one. So, the light green cardamom that you often put in your tea as well, that is the small version. And then there is a bigger version, the larger version, that is slightly bigger, it is black in color. So, it is slightly different. There are small and large varieties. Both of these again are at the center of this particular scheme. The government wants to improve the production for both of them. The government wants to improve the planting material, provide micro irrigation facility as well, to make sure that the farmers have each and every support that they require to improve their cardamom production. The idea is to improve post-harvest quality standards, promote value addition as well. Why? Because again, it's not just enough that you have grown cardamom, you also have to preserve it, you also have to transport it, you also have to make sure that if there is some processing that needs to be done, all of that has to be up to the mark. The government also wants to make use of GI tagged branding. GI tag or geographical indication tag is a tag that adds a lot of authenticity to the product. When a buyer goes to the market and when he sees a cardamom, which is a common cardamom, another cardamom that is GI tagged, the expectation is that he or she would prefer the GI tagged cardamom, assuming that that is more authentic, that has come in from a place that is famous for cardamom, that has come in from a place that has much more sustainable ways or that has much more sustainability in the manner that the cardamom is actually grown. So, it indicates sustainable practices. The government has been pushing towards improving all these things. The government also wants to support the farmers under this scheme. How? The government wants to support farmer producer organizations, farmer producer companies, self-help groups, etc., by giving them financial aid through different kind of instruments, the loan, etc., Kisan credit cards, etc. And the government also wants to give them technical know-how as well. If there is, for example, a new kind of technique that has been decided, that has been deciphered by the scientists, if the scientists have come up with a new idea of how to grow better variety of cardamom, of how to reduce the crop cycle, of how to use lesser amount of water, anything, then this would also be shared with the farmers, so technical know-how will also be shared with them. That is the idea. These are the points about the mission. You should remember that the idea is to improve the processing technique, improve the outcome, promote sustainable post-harvest practices in cardamom specifically, promote GI spices, that is specifically to give an assurance that, for example, if you are consuming something, it is coming from a place that is well known for that particular product. GI tag related questions are very common in the prelims examination. They have been asked in the prelims examination, the match the column form, for example, in the past, that these are the variety of species, or these are the varieties of products, and these are the states. Match them with which state has been given the GI tag for what. There have been multiple cases in the court as well. There was a very famous case of, for example, Rasgulla or Rasgulla as you call it, West Bengal versus Odisha. Both of them wanted that they should be the one given the GI tag status. Internationally also, Pakistan and India have been kind of against each other, that basmati rice belongs to whom, that basmati rice GI tag should be given to whom, India or Pakistan. So GI tag is a big thing, especially in the international market. It has a lot of chances of improving your sellability, improving this selling factor in the market, and people would be ready to pay a higher price if they see the GI tag of the product. So government is focusing on this. The government also is encouraging the startups and SMEs in the spices sector. Again, to do that, the government is making credit available to them with in an easier manner, not having to follow a lot of paperwork, not having to do a lot of formalities for this credit to be given to them. About cardamom production, because this is what this scheme actually focuses on. In India, the cardamom production, if you actually see, the small cardamom is mainly grown in southern part of the country. This is where cardamom is usually found. So it's in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. This is where it usually thrives. The large cardamom, that is the black one, the larger one that is used in some of the vegetables for its fragrance specifically, it is in northeast part, that is Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Darjeeling, specifically Darjeeling as you know is in West Bengal. They require much cooler climate, much higher altitude. So this is where large cardamom is grown, and small cardamom, as I said, the different variety, the green one, that is grown in southern part of the country. Do remember that as well. Don't mix this up if this is asked in the examination. Now, the agency behind this, that is given the responsibility to make this scheme a success, is the Spice Board of India. This Spice Board of India works in the Ministry of Commerce, but you should remember this. The Spices Board of India is a statutory body, so it's important. Statutory body again means that there is an act of the parliament passed for it specifically. So its Spices Board of India works as a statutory body. The act that has been passed for this is called the Spices Board Act of 1986. Before that, there were two separate boards that were combined to form one. Before that, we used to have a cardamom board, now we don't have it, and we used to have a Spices Export Promotion Council. So these two existed earlier as separate units. They were merged together and they were made into what we today know as the Spices Board of India. It works under the Ministry of Commerce, specifically under that there is a Department of Commerce. The commodity that it focuses on, there are total 5 basically commodity boards that we have under this ministry. One of them is a Spices Board, but there are 4 other boards as well that are working under the Ministry of Commerce. These are the other 4, again important information. First board to come up under this was a coffee board. It was pre-independence era, even before India got independent, this board was formed. Then we have the Rubber Board of India, we have the Tea Board, and we have the Tobacco Board. These are the 4 boards, and the 5th one is the Spices Board. So remember, these 5 boards all work together under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. As the name suggests, they are given the responsibility to promote their specific sector, their specific field, bring in more talent there, bring in more money, bring in more expertise, help the farmers working in their field, make policy suggestions to the government about how to improve the outcome, how to improve the earning of the people who are involved in this field. That is the entire objective of all of these boards. The Spices Board of India specifically performs these functions. It remains quite a lot in the news. sometimes for turmeric, sometimes for cardamom here. So it is responsible for improving the export of cardamom in the country. They specifically look into promotion of 52 spices that are listed in the schedule of this board. So they are not just for cardamom. This scheme right now is for cardamom, but the Spices Board of India looks into a total of 52 spices. The idea is to take research activities, to undertake other kind of things, all of which can be helpful for improving production and export of cardamom in the country. They also have Indian Cardamom Research Institute, which also tries to give them policy inputs, tries to give them suggestions of how to improve the overall production of cardamom in the country. If you understood that, let's see if you are able to answer this question. Read it carefully till the end, think about what the answer should be, and then we can discuss it. Done? Okay. With reference to spiced scheme launched by the Government of India, consider the following statements. Number one, the scheme aims to enhance infrastructure and export potential of Indian spices industry through establishment of dedicated spice parks. Yes, that is one of the objectives of it. Now, spice parks basically, see, there can be parks of different type. There are garment parks, etc. There are food parks. Parks basically means a group or a cluster where multiple industries, multiple factories will be set up, all related to each other, so that they can all help each other in the supply chain. So for example, one industry or one factory will be set up that will look into storing of cardamom, one will look into export of it, one will look into marketing of it. So all these related things will be together, working together, so that there is synergy. That's how a spice park or a food park, etc. is set up, or a garment park. It is implemented by Ministry of Agriculture. We have been discussing the ministry behind this is Ministry of Commerce and Industry, not the Ministry of Agriculture. Third, the initiative focuses solely on increasing spice production without addressing the post-harvest processing and value addition. No. We discussed this multiple times. The government does not just want to improve the production. They also want to make sure that there is enough export happening. They also want to make sure that if there is any help needed in value addition, in more technology being made available, that is also done. So it's wrong. 1 is correct, 2 and 3 here are wrong. The answer thus would be A. Okay, A would be the correct answer here. If you want, you can take a screenshot here to help you revise later on. Done? Second practice question. Easy. Mark your answer. Read it carefully. Which of the following is a key objective of the spiced scheme? Number 1, to promote cultivation of non-traditional spices in northern India specifically. Absolutely wrong. Nothing like that. To establish spice parks for improving processing, storage and export capabilities. Yes, this is what we have been discussing. We discussed this in the first question as well, to set up spice parks rather, to have industries collaborating with each other, hoping to improve their processing, storage, export capabilities. B would be the correct answer here. This is the explanation part. If you want, you can take a screenshot here. Pretty easy. Here's a previous year question related to agriculture. Let's see if you can get that right as well. Slightly tricky. Read this carefully. Which of the following is a chief characteristic of mixed farming? Cultivation of both cash crops and food crops. Is that mixed farming? No. Cultivation of 2 or more crops in the same field. Is that mixed farming? No. Rearing of animals and cultivation of crops together? Yes. This is what mixed farming is. Mixed farming basically means when you have animals and the crops using the same field in a sustainable manner. so that none of these is harmed. This is called mixed farming. C would be the correct answer here. This is what mixed farming is. Now, these kind of questions seem pretty simple, straightforward, but a lot of times you may just get confused here as well. So even the easy definitions, etc., should be known to you. You should know what exactly is mixed farming. The word or the phrase seems easy to define, but you should know exactly what it is. This is the required information. If you want, you can take a screenshot from here. Helpful for you for revision's sake. Moving ahead then, the next topic. The next topic in short is called PACS, P-A-C-S, or the full form Primary Agriculture Credit Societies. Now, what exactly is it? The name itself, the one single word of importance here is this, credit. See, in the agriculture sector, probably the biggest problem that the farmers have in India is the lack of credit or the lack of loan facility available to them. So the government tries very hard to remove that obstacle, to make sure that all of them have this credit facility available. So there are different ways in which credit is given. There are scheduled commercial banks, the big banks like SBI, ICICI, etc., they are available. Then we also have regional rural banks that are available to give loans. The government also offers schemes such as the Kisan credit card, etc. But despite all of that, the short-term availability of funds, specifically in the rural areas, has been a cause of great concern, and that problem has not been solved. This is where the PACs come into the picture. Primary Agriculture Credit Societies come in the picture, where they ensure that there is availability of credit to the farmers at the lowest rung of the society, especially in the rural areas. Why is it in the news? Because a union minister and the Minister of Corporation, Amit Shah, he established multi-purpose agriculture credit societies along with dairy and fishery cooperative societies. So a lot of PACs have now been set up by the government. The government wants to set up lakhs of these PACs, especially in those rural areas where there doesn't exist any. So those are underserved areas or unserved areas where the government of India wants to set up more PACs. So let's first try and see how do they work, where do they exist, so that we have a fair bit of idea about them. So I'll bring you back here, but first see this to have a better understanding. So if you actually see this, how exactly does credit in the rural area works, or how exactly do the farmers in the rural areas get loans? So there are cooperative credit institutions. So cooperatives, as we discussed earlier, are these groups where people are more members rather than employees. They work together at an equal level. So credit institutions, that is banks kind of things, they also are in the form of cooperatives. You might have heard of urban cooperative bank, rural cooperative banks. So there are urban cooperatives and rural cooperative institutions. Now let's focus on the rural one. In the rural cooperative institutions, there are long-term loans that are given and short-term loans that are given. We are focusing on the short-term structure, that is the short-term loans that are given. Short-term loans are given by state cooperative banks, district level cooperative bank, district central cooperative bank, and then in the rural area we have PACs. So this is how it works. So there is a hierarchical structure at the district level, or at the state level rather, we have the state cooperative bank. At the district level, we have the district central cooperative bank. And then at the rural level, at the village level, we have the PACs, Primary Agriculture Credit Societies. So do have this in your mind. First of all, they are a part of cooperative credit institutions in India. Secondly, they are a part of rural cooperative credit institutions in India. And thirdly, they are a part of village level rural cooperative institutions in India. So cooperative, rural, and then the rural area also at the lowest level in the villages, not at the state level, not at the district level, but at the rural level. So that you first have a understanding of this. Now let's come back. So the idea is that these institutions will be able to give loans to farmers in a shorter turnaround time. They are the lowest level, the third tier of India's three-tier cooperative credit structure. As I told you, at the state level, we have the state cooperative banks. At the district level, we have the district central cooperative banks. And then at the village level, we have these PACS, Primary Agriculture Credit Societies. Okay. Now, usually how does the money come into these? How is it that the PACs get their money? So we are saying that they give loan to the farmers, fine. But how do they get the money? So this is how the structure works. Now understand this. The state cooperative bank, they give loan or they give money to district central cooperative bank. They then extend the loan to PACs. PACs then deal with the farmers and they make credit more accessible to the grassroots level. So money is flowing in from the state level only. From the state level cooperative bank, it's going to district central cooperative bank. It is then coming to PACs, which is then in turn giving the loan to the farmer. So that is how this entire hierarchy is working. Because it's a cooperative structure, there is membership that is available. So farmers are mainly members. Many of them are office bearers. Many of them are at the positions that look into the working of the PAC. They are office bearers, so they are chosen by election. And one village can have multiple PACs as well. So it's not that one village will have only one primary agriculture credit society. Do remember this piece of information as well, that one single village can very well have more than one PACs as well. The PACs give short-term loan, again remember, and medium-term loan. No long-term loans are given under this. For long-term loan structure, we have a different structure in place. Remember, I just showed you the table, the flow chart if you remember. Look at this once again. For the long-term loan structure, we have a different institution, that is state cooperative agriculture and rural development banks. Then we have primary cooperative agriculture rural development banks. So long-term structure is different. We are talking about the short-term loan, the short-term structure, where the farmers need the loan right now and there will be a short tenure to pay back the loan. In India, PACs are extremely old. They are of the British legacy. So old that they were first established as back as in 1904 when the British were here. So a lot of these structures that are in place even today have a British legacy to it. In 1904 they were first set up. Currently we have over 1 lakh PACs across the country, and because it is run by members, because the farmers are the members, there are 13 crore plus farmers that are members of different PACs right now. See, when these institutions are run by the farmers themselves, they give them a lot more confidence that these institutions will work for me. They are not working for someone else's interest. This is why it is important for them to run a cooperative structure. Now, these are the advantages that the PACs offer. The biggest advantage obviously is giving loan, giving credit to the farmers, which is the biggest pain point for the farmer in the entire country. They have or they require minimal paperwork because most of the farmers that are given the loan by PAC are members of the PAC themselves. So they know the members, everyone knows each other. So when the loan is given out, there is minimal paperwork that is required. Also, the Kisan credit card scheme to provide the credit to the agriculture farmers is also facilitated through PACs only. The Kisan credit card scheme that we were talking about earlier, where the government has increased the limit to 5 lakh, that also is facilitated by the same PACs. Also, they are solving farmers' problems through group collective strength. As I told you earlier, they are cooperatives. So they are working in each other's interests, they are working together, they are making sure that the farmers have credit easily available to them. They are making sure that there is no issue with the credit with the farmers. Grassroots presence, they facilitate financial inclusion because see, when we have more PACs that are giving out loan, that means you are effectively making farmers a part of the formal credit structure. When you get a loan, you have to submit all the documents, the paperwork, you come in the accounts or you come in the system or the database of the bank. So the government can also keep an eye, the government can also identify you. So that is where financial inclusion happens automatically when you're actually taking a loan. As per the RBI report a few years back, there were about 1.02 lakh PACs at the grassroots level, and they provide you last mile connectivity because they are present in almost every village. In fact, so much so that as we discussed, one village can have multiple PACs. Because of this, we also have a situation where the government, if they want to implement a certain scheme and they want to make sure that the scheme reaches till the grassroots level, the government can do that through PACs as well. Because again, they have membership of a lot of farmers, 13 crore plus farmers are members here. the government can roll out a lot of government schemes very effectively and efficiently with the help of PACs here. So this also plays an extremely important role. Apart from all of this, agriculture marketing is also taken over by them. See, it's not just enough for the farmers to grow their product, they also have to sell it, and an integral part of selling and having a better price is to have good enough marketing in place. Farmers by default are not marketers. Many of them might not know how to market their product, how to make their product seem to be very good. This is where the marketing comes in the picture. So PACs undertake that as well. So for example, a lot of PACs, for example, let's say in Kerala especially, the government of Kerala helps them, trains them in a lot of these marketing activities so that eventually the farmer's income improves in the long run. Training and capacity building has also happened. A lot of these farmers who are the members of PAC, because again it has become a platform for the government to recognize the farmers. The government is able to single out the farmers there, give them the training that is required so that they can in turn use that in their agriculture practices and earn more money, more income. There are other initiatives that the government has taken specifically to empower the PACs and make them even more stronger. For example, formation of new farmer produce organizations by PACs. So PACs have created organizations or groups within themselves. These are called FPOs, farmer produce organizations, that work together. About 1100 additional FPOs will be formed under PAC with the support of National Cooperative Development Corporation. Apart from that, the National Cooperative Development Corporation, as we discussed, also provides loans to state governments for financial primary institutions. So the money goes in from the states to the district level to the PACs, but where does the money come into the state cooperative banks? This is where these kind of institution, National Cooperative Development Corporation, comes in the picture so that they can fund the highest level, that is the state cooperative banks, so that the money can trickle down and eventually reach the PACs from where it can reach to the farmers. Apart from that, the government also is enabling the PACs to undertake multiple things, not just focus on giving credit. Because they have such a strong database of the farmers, because they have such strong membership of the farmers, the government thinks that this platform can be used for multiple other things as well. And this is what they have done with PACs. For example, the government is trying to enable the PACs to undertake more business activities. For example, fishing, dairy farming, floriculture, that is focusing into flowers, etc. All of that has a lot of potential to improve the income of the farmers. And for that, the government is trying to give a push to them so that they can eventually go ahead and give even more opportunities, even more ways to the farmers to earn a better income. Then PACs can also function as Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samriddhi Kendra. So the government sells a lot of products to the farmers. The farmers have to buy fertilizers, pesticides, etc. from the government. Lot of them is given at a subsidized price. But from where does the government sell this to a farmer? From where does the farmer come and take it from the government? All these are shops or business centers that have to be established. So PACs can function like this as well. So PACs, many of them, function as one-stop shop for the farmers to buy these products from the government side. So fertilizer, pesticides, seeds, whatever they have to buy from the government, they can do that. They also operate as Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Kendra. You have seen in the last few years, the government has been giving quite a push to this scheme. These are kind of government pharmacy shops where you can get generic alternatives to your medicines. So the same medicine that a unique medicine that you might buy from the market at 100 rupees, generic version of it can be available at half the price. These are the Jan Aushadhi Kendra. These have to be set up in many parts of the country. It's very similar to how the government of India in the past has used post offices, because post offices were set up in every village. So post offices kind of became parallel to banks, because we did not have enough banks in the rural areas, and where the farmers had to deposit money, had to send money order, etc. Since they could not go to banks, post offices worked as banks. Similarly, the government is doing a similar kind of a thing with PACs. When they can't set up other infrastructure, like medical stores, etc., when they can't set up such shops to sell seeds or fertilizer to the farmers, they are doing the same, or they are making packs as the one-stop solution, that from where the farmers can get in touch and take all these government facilities going forward. This is where packs come in. The government also has been doing a lot of stuff to help the packs in their own way. Interest subvention scheme, as I told you earlier, when Kisan credit cards are given to the farmers, if they are repaying in a good manner, in a consistent manner, they have all the paperwork in place, the government says, okay, we will give you a part of the interest, don't worry. Agriculture credit scheme also works here. The government of India again has been trying to make more and more money available to farmers under PAC. Infrastructure development, Kisan, PM Kisan scheme, under which 6,000 rupees are given every year to the farmers. Capacity building programs are run, giving more training to the farmers, especially those farmers who want to diversify their earning, maybe want to venture into some other field, fishery or dairy, etc. They are given training of how to undertake that. The farmers are given more technology with the use of Digital India Initiative. All of this is an example of what the government is trying to do in order to strengthen packs, and thus in order to strengthen rural areas where the farmers usually work. If you understood that, let's see if you are able to answer these questions. Read it carefully. All right. With reference to packs in India, consider the following statements. Number one, packs operate at grassroots level and provide short-term and medium-term credit to farmers for agriculture activities. Yes, we discussed just that. They are a part of cooperative sector, rural cooperative sector for short-term loans, especially at the village level, so short to medium-term loans. The digitization of packs approved in the Union Budget 23-24 aims to integrate them with digital banking platforms for greater transparency. Yes, so all these places and platforms from where you are getting credit or loan in some way or the other, the government in the long run wants to make sure that all of these are streamlined, all of these are digitized. This is where financial inclusion will be quicker. So this is true. Third, packs are exclusively managed by Reserve Bank of India, do not involve state government oversight. That is absolutely wrong. We discussed this, that the money that the packs get for distributing to the farmers for short medium term loan is then from the state cooperative bank. So state cooperative banks in part are controlled by the state governments. So it's not that RBI controls it and the states don't have a role to play. That is absolutely wrong. Third would be wrong. 1 and 2 are correct. The answer thus will be A. A is the answer here. If you want, you can take a screenshot from here to revise it later on. Packs and these kind of questions are pretty commonly asked in the by the UPSC in the prelims examination. Moving on to the next one then. Read it carefully. Think about what the answer should be. Which of the following is a key feature of the recent initiatives to strengthen packs in India? Number one, conversion of packs into private sector banks? No. Establishment of multi-purpose packs to diversify services like warehousing and input supply? Yes. I told you earlier, the government wants to diversify packs as much as possible. Try and use them as a place for capacity building, training, giving out loan, rolling out government facilities as much as possible. Government just wants to use that real estate, wants to use that platform, that structure to give out as many of the government schemes as possible. Second is correct. They want to diversify into services like warehousing, input supply, because this is where farmers are members, so they can give input here as well. So second is correct. B would be the correct answer here. This is the initiative, or this is the key feature of what the government is trying to do and how they are trying to evolve packs. If you want, you can take a screenshot here as well. It will be helpful for your revision sake. Next, I have a previous year question for you to show you what kind of questions are usually asked by the UPSC from this topic. This was in 2020. Read it carefully. In terms of short-term credit delivery to the agriculture sector, district central cooperative banks deliver more credit in comparison to scheduled commercial banks and regional rural banks. Oh, that is tricky. These data-based questions that this gives more credit, that gives lesser credit is also based on current affairs, mainly by reports given by RBI or the data that you can get in economic survey about Niti Aayog, etc. So it's tricky. If you're not very good with current affairs, you might not be able to answer this. This is wrong. Most of the money that goes into short-term credit delivery to agriculture sector still is from scheduled commercial banks only. Scheduled commercial banks such as SBI, ICICI, SDFC, Punjab National Bank, those are scheduled commercial banks. They still give majority of loan in the rural areas for agriculture. Second, one of the most important functions of district central cooperative bank is to provide fund to PSCS. We just discussed, this is correct. Money from state cooperative banks go to district central cooperative banks, from where the money goes to PACs. So yes, this is absolutely correct. Thus, only second is correct. The answer here would be B. B would be correct here. I hope you got this one right as well. If you want, you can take a screenshot from here. It will be helpful for you for your revision purpose later on. With this, we come to the end of the class today. I really hope that you learned something new. And if you already knew this, I really hope that it helped you revise things. Please make sure in the next class when you have tomorrow, bring your sheet, bring your pen so that you can keep testing yourself whether you are able to answer this question correctly or not. We have a lot more classes to go. Do join for each and every class. If you are new here, do hit the like and the subscribe button. Invite your other friends here as well. Thank you so much. From Narayana IAS Academy, my name is Harshmeet Singh. Bye-bye. Jai Hind.